All right, Matt Rosick, and I think this work in progress is number 9. Not sure because I haven't uploaded the last work in progress. So the last one was some of the accessories in the belt, the guns, I should say the holsters with the guns in them, and the like grenade hand thingies, whatever those are. So this one I'm gonna start off with the knives, and these again required a little bit more prep than the first ones I did. Quite a few bubbles, seam lines and stuff. So I'm not sure. Again, like the um, the molds were bad or going bad on this run of kits. I'm not sure if he remolds these every once in a while because Narin will run them for a while and it's like, hey, they're sold out, and then eventually he'll say, hey, they're up for pre-order again. So I'm guessing he's remolding these every 50 to 60 kits. So that's my guess. I don't know. So these may have been towards the end of the life of the last mold. So anyway, I did that work. I, seeing down the seams as much as I could. Got rid of any of the pinholes that I found. Um, this schema right here, this side of the sculpt is basically like non-existent. Luckily, you don't see that side. So I'm going to try to emulate that over here. I don't know. Luckily, you don't see it, so because it goes on the belt this way. So you can see that this has been sprayed with the Vallejo primer. Not Vallejo, sorry, the Stymorez. Now what I'm going to do is I left the handles blank because the first step I'm going to do is do the bone handles. And the reason I left those blank is because I want to brush on my primer. And this is similar to when I did the wood grain on the butts of the pistols. Basically, I want to see my brush strokes. I don't want a super smooth surface because we're going to emulate the texture of bone in these handles. And so by hand brushing, we're going to use the brush strokes to our advantage. Now this stuff self-levels pretty good, but again, if you just kind of work it as it starts to dry, you'll leave brush strokes, and that's what we want. We want to leave the brush strokes. And I don't need a whole lot of primer on here. Basically, I'm just putting this on here to get the texture. So everything we do in this step will be hand brushing. And so this one you can kind of see. That's about it. Do it again on this guy. Again, I don't need a lot of primer on here. This will get sealed anyway. And so in this video, at least what I'll be able to show you today, is doing the bone and the jade effect. Once you do the jade effect on this part, I'll clear coat with my automotive clear, and then that has to dry for at least 24 hours to mask it. The directions say 8 hours at 72 degrees. I still don't feel comfortable masking that, even following the instructions. It does harden as it cures. So I'll show the bone technique and the jade technique, and then everything else is the hand painting of the metal trim, just like everything else I've been doing. That, and then we're gonna hit this with a hair dryer, and then we're gonna break out the garage kits paints. I rave about Jesse's paints all the time. I gotta say my least favorite colors of Jesse's, and this is just me, not that they're bad, are the flesh tones. And maybe because flesh is really hard for me still. And I've had a few guys ask me to paint something that I'm like, well, that's probably not in my wheelhouse yet. If like someone asked me to do a predator kit, I've never done a predator kit. There are guys out there that basically that's all they do are predator kits. Like, look, I could try to do it for you, but I'm not going to say it's going to be what you want in the end. I'd rather, refer them to someone else that's going to give them what they want. I have no problem. There's no skin off my back. I'd rather have someone get what they want and go with a different painter than, me stressing out about, going to do this correctly for someone. So that's what we're going to do. That's it for the primer. Let me get another cup. I'm going to order some cups on Amazon. I bought some at the hobby store yesterday because I was desperate, but I need to get on Amazon and order them in bulk again. Yeah, so Jesse's paints are great. The flesh tones are, I end up with good results, but it takes me a long time. It's a lot of trial and error. So I'm always looking for flesh tones that are a little bit easier for me to use. Jim Capone. Most guys can work magic with those. It's just my inexperience as yet with flesh tones. Okay, so one of my favorite lines of his paints are his bone colors. These are amazing. So we got there are all sorts of different shades of bone, and we're gonna work our way from light to dark. Let's see. Yeah, I think there's only 3. Bone white, natural bone white, and aged bone. And then he's got some in those same colors. He's got some semi-transparent bone white, semi-transparent. I mean, I have them all, but anyway, these are pretty much the 3 colors we're going to use. No, I take that back. We're going to go dark to light, and then back. So I'm going to hit these with a hair dryer real quick. And I'll just do one on camera like I do with other stuff, and then we'll time lapse the others. Okay, for this one, you need a shitty brush. You need a shitty flat brush that you can either cut the tips off, or this is actually a really nice brush. I got this on. This is a Royal Lag Nickel brush I got at Hobby Town. It was like on clearance. It was really good. It's really nice. I got like $2. Hold on one second. So let me dig around over here for shit. Most of my brushes are shitty now anyway. Got this stupid bust over here I was doing for ammo, the ammo book, and I replaced the motors once, got everything working, and then they died on me again. So who knows when I'll be able to finish this project. I told the guys at ammo, I was like, look, sorry, I probably should have picked an easier kit that didn't require electronics, but this is what I picked, and if you want it, if they need it now, it's not going to happen. So I asked them if they want to save it for a later publication when I can finally get it done. But that's another story. So anyway, you need a shitty brush, a flat brush that you can cut the bristles off of and make it really stiff. Like here's one I can. So I'm going to use this one. I'm going to cut the bristles off. And sorry, I'm texting with my daughter. So yeah, so I'm gonna cut the bristles off of this real short. We want this to be really stiff. If I can just see if I can reproduce what I did the first time, because the first time I did this, it looked freaking amazing. Again, the first time I did this, it was just me messing around. Okay, so we're gonna start with aged bone. And this is like a gray tone to it. Let me get my little Yi application going so I can actually see what I'm doing. So, hold please. Okay, there we go. All right, this way I can make sure I'm in frame. Come on. Sorry. My daughter, she's driving me nuts. Okay. Keep connected. Sorry. Anyway. Okay. I'm trying to make sure I can see what I'm doing on the camera while I'm doing it. So I'm making sure I'm frame. Okay. So aged bone. This is the darkest of the tones in the bone line. Again, just gonna get a little cup. I don't need a cup. That's the waste of a cup. Here's my plate here. mix it up really good. I just need to buy the whole line of Jesse's paints. It's about, I don't know, the prices went up on his paints now, so it would be more expensive, but I should have done that last year when I considered doing it, because I really like his paints. So I'm going to put a little bit down here. And I'm going to get this brush I just cut the bristles off of. Wherever I put it, there it is. Alright, so we're going to get some on our paint, on our brush. Now this is really, these bristles are really, really stiff. I mean, they're like really hard. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go in here, we're kind of like, I'm actually like kind of scrubbing this onto the surface. I don't even call it painting. So I'm using the very tip of those bristles and I'm basically just kind of scrubbing this on. I think that's how I did it the first time, if I remember correctly. It turned out really good, whatever I did. So I'm going to try to do it again. And I'm going to keep working this as the paint dries, because as the paint dries, that texture will get more accentuated. I'll probably have to seal this after this step. So someone on Facebook posted that they were buying Testor's dull coat by the case. And I love the dull coat, but it's like $6 a can. It's expensive stuff. The Kryline's great because it's inexpensive, but man, it puts out a lot of material at one time. And until I get my like secondary vent source in my spray room, kind of limited how much I can use that stuff because it just, I'm going to have to empty out my spray room and clean it again. There's overspray on all my paints and everything in there. All right, so we're going to do this. If I remember correctly last time, I did use some pigments too. So I'll use some pigments also in the very end. You can see here, I'm literally just like scraping this. I'm not painting. Probably hear it too. But this is giving us the texture we want. And as it dries, the more, I don't care if I go through. You can see right here I went through, that's fine. I remember the first time I did it, I just like scrubbing really, really hard. Because once these garage kits paints dry, they are tough. I was thoroughly impressed. You know, I started painting figures. I never used acrylics ever. I only used Mr. Color lacquers. And then I bought these paints at my first Wonderfest, and I did my first figure, and I was really impressed with how tough they were. I was actually kind of mad because I was doing my first Stella kit, and I'd messed, my first figure. I'd screwed up a lot, and I couldn't get the paint off. It's like, what the hell? I can't. It's supposed to be water-based. I'm supposed to use a Q-tip and water to get the paint off. I could not do it. And I didn't know Jesse real well at the time. I mean, I just met him briefly, but we've become friends, and we chat quite a bit. And I'm like, dude, what's up with your paints? I can't get them off anything. He's like, and that's a problem. I'm like, well, it is sometimes when I screw up. I need to take the paint off. But yeah, they're tough. I don't know. I don't think they're a true acrylic. Like, they're not a true acrylic is completely water-based. You should be able to take a true acrylic off with water. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. As shitty as it looks, that's what we want. We want it to look shitty. We're not. We don't want this to be pretty. So here, like that paint's dry, and I'm scraping this, and it doesn't want to come off. I'm not trying to get it off. I'm just showing you how tough it is. So this being the handle of a knife or a scarab, I don't know what you want to call it, it would be smoother around the center where you grip it, you know, because over time it would wear smoother. So we want this texture to be more pronounced towards the edges here. You know, it'll make it look more natural. Okay, that's looking really good, actually. I don't know if it's showing up in camera, but you can kind of see this texture going on in here. And again, this is bone, so it doesn't have to be all, you don't want it all like super consistent and all the same. Okay. Okay, so that's nice and dry. I'm going to go up to the next color, which is natural bone. And we'll be going back and forth on these colors. Oh, I'm going to pause for 1 second. Okay, sorry. Okay, so now we're going to go to the natural bone. We're going to do the same thing, but we're concentrating more on the center. I think there's a ball bearing in here. I need to get a good paint shaker. They have those Robart paint shakers, but I heard they wear out pretty quick. There's a guy selling, he calls it the Vortex. Basically, it's a lab centrifuge kind of thing, and he's modified it to be a paint shaker. It's really cool, but I think it's like $150. But basically, you just push it down and it shakes your paints up really well. I may invest in one of those. Okay, so I'm going to put a couple drops of natural bone down. Another thing is, like, I keep switching the lids out. This was a blood color, and I put it on the wrong bottles. All right, so here's natural bone. And we're going to kind of do the same thing. I'm just come in here, and we're not really going to paint. We're going to scrape, and this should kind of work with the first color we did. We don't want to cover up that aged bone all the way, although we are going to go back and do it again a little bit. Too much paint on there. No, I'm just going to do the whole thing. I probably should have put my primer on that dry more, or sealed it before I did this, because I'm having a hard time covering it up, getting coverage. And before I paint this metal over here, I'll sand around this area. So I'm going to go back to the aged bone and do that again. I'm going to go back and forth. Again, I did this once back in August, and it was just something I was messing around with, and it kind of happened. So it may take me a little experimentation again to get the same effect, because I didn't record the process last time. My work in progress videos now, more than they were before, are actually videos showing how I do stuff, where before I would do something and then I would do a video and talk about what I did. I'm trying to do more stuff like on camera as I'm experimenting and learning and doing things, because first of all, it helps me go back and how the hell did I do that? Because a lot of times I don't take notes. Like I don't I've never like recorded like what colors I use for stuff. I know a lot of guys have like color logs for each project. I don't do that because I do everything on the fly. I really don't pre-plan anything. It's all just kind of, I started doing something, and once it starts going the direction I want, I keep going that direction. Okay. There we go. Okay. Hit that with the hair dryer. I'm chatting with my wife at the same time. she's at my son's soccer games today. I decided to stay home so I could work. Sorry. Okay. All right. So where'd that go? So I'm wondering if I should go seal this real quick and let it dry for a little bit. I'm getting the texture I want. I'm just not covering the primer or the resin all the way, like I hoped. Probably because I should have sprayed this with the primer and then done my paint. I was thinking if I did the primer first. First time I did this, I sprayed the primer and then did this process, but then the primer had a good, chance to dry. But we're getting there. So I'm going to take a break. I'm going to seal this and come back. Okay, so this has been sealed, let it dry for a little while, and now we're going to go back with, I think I'm going to go back to natural bone. And we're going to put some of this on there, seal it, and then come back, seal it, and so on. So natural bone, and I don't want a whole lot. I think last time I just had too much on my brush. Again, not really painting, just kind of putting on there, getting that texture. Once I figure this out, the other two should go quicker. And so we're just kind of seeing some of the under, the aged bone through this. Again, building up layers. Yeah, so that's why I just need to go through and seal that because I just kept lifting up the paint underneath. Which I don't want to do. I don't want to lift it up. I just want to kind of see through it. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go seal this layer. And come back. And while the sealer dries on this, I'll do the first step on the other two. And then I was thinking, in order to show you basically the whole Jade thing, typically what I do is I'll do the Jade and then I'll spray the clear coat on top. But what I can do is I can do the Jade, can hand paint everything else, and I can just brush the clear coat on top because it lays down very smoothly. So that way you can see the whole process, start to finish. And these guys will basically be done today, which is great. And then let's see what I want to move on to next. So there's that. I'm going to go seal it and come back. Okay, so I got all three sealed again, and then I just went ahead. I wanted to test it before I did it on camera. So the next step is going to be this. I don't know if it's showing up, but basically I'm going back to the aged bone. Just a little drop on my plate, and I'm picking it up and I'm mixing, getting most of it off, and I'm just concentrating, like right in this area. I'm not going across the whole handle, and I'm pushing down really, really hard. I want to get, try to get some more of the texture in there, so I'm pushing down pretty good. I'm just kind of scrubbing it on, and this is start giving us a little shading. You need just a very small amount of paint. Kind of like that. And we're starting to get some different coloration in there, which is what we want. We don't want all the same color. Again, just a little bit. Maybe gone a little too far to the center right there, but it's okay. Really just want to concentrate right in this, where it meets the metal. It's going to be like, again, this is how I do this. There may be a quicker and easier way, but this is kind of like what I came up with, so. So this one's a little more prominent as far as like the different color going on. All right, we're going to blend it all together. Actually, I want to take some of this off, so I'm going to scrub it pretty hard and try to get some of this gray off. Not gray, but this aged bone. So we can see some other underneath it. There we go. You can see there. Now we're getting there. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. That's what I need to do. I need to go over the whole thing. Pretty much this dry brush. That's looking like bone now. That looks pretty good. There's that first one I did. Go back and do the same thing on this first one. You get just a teeny tiny paint to kind of reactivate that first a little bit I put on there. If I was only doing one of these Hellboys, I would have done like a week ago. But doing it 3 times is a lot. There we go. It's starting to look like bone now. You can hear I'm pushing pretty darn hard. There we go. Let's do the other one. That aged bone, it goes on, it's really pretty bright, but it dries down quite a bit. When I first put it on, I think it's the same color as the natural bone. But then as it dries, it kind of gets that gray hue to it. As it dries, I scrub a little bit harder. There we go. Sorry, you probably can't see it so far down, so dang far away from the camera lens, but I'll bring it in closer here. Okay. So now we kind of got the look of bone. Kind of worn. A little bit more on these two. See like a spot that doesn't look quite right. Oops, sorry. There we go. I don't want it all the same color, but I don't want like any like areas that's obvious where like I stopped the brush or something. Okay, this looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go seal these one more time, and then we're gonna keep mixing up the dang lids. And we're gonna do some dry brushing, and then pastels to finish off the bone. Okay, well I tried dry brushing, it wasn't working so good. So what I did is I went to the bone white, which is the brightest tone, and I added to the center there, and I just did this kind of the same technique, just concentrating on the center. So I got a little bit of paint on my brush, got most of it off, and then it's concentrating right here in the center. Just kind of scrub it back and forth, working around the handle. And as it dries, I bring it out a little bit further, try to blend it. You see, there's kind of starting to blend together. Just trying to soften this transition between the colors. There we go. It's looking pretty good. Let's see. Did that one. Let's do this one. I need a little more paint to kind of reactivate it. Maybe go back in there with a little more of the aged bone. Yeah, go back in a little bit more of the aged bone just on the edges. Lots of back and forth again. Now, the first time I did this, it didn't take it long. I don't know. I'm doing something different. I'm not sure what it is I'm doing different, but first time I did this, it did not take this long to do one of them. So I don't know what I'm doing different. Who knows? Having a hard time getting these to blend together. I did not have as much trouble the first time I did this. So again, it could be my brush. Maybe my brush isn't, like the bristles aren't stiff enough or something. It's getting there. It's actually pretty good right there. Yeah, that looks pretty good there. See a little area where I kind of went a little too hard. Okay, let's get those. I think the other two looking like this, I'll be happy. go. There we go. Okay. Let's not mess with that. That looks good. Too much paint. That's part of the problem. I get too much paint on my brush right at the beginning. I just need the tiniest amount. There we go. That's what we're looking for right there. Finally, geez. It took a while. Which one did I need to go like? It's that one. Okay. Let me do this other one and then I'm not sure if I was on camera for any of that, sorry. There it is right there. Okay. That's what I've been trying to get. It just took me a while to get there. I see it got a little aggressive right there. I've been scrubbing really, really hard on this. I'm surprised I haven't gone through the paint. I've been putting a lot of pressure. Just goes to show you how tough these paints are. Alright, so there we go. Finally got the bone looking the way I wanted. The last step is I'm going to do, hit these with a hairdryer real quick. I'm going to use a little pigment on it. I think I've got like a, I'm trying to think what I used last time on it. These Tamiya pigments actually would probably be perfect. It's like a sand color. So we use a little bit of the sand color here. If you guys never tried these Tamiya pigments, they're pretty cool. They're pretty easy. So I'm going to get a little bit of the sand pigment. Just a light little bit. And we're going to, I think I need this color. That color is called Mud. I need it on the tip of this. Just going to dirty it up a little bit right there. Don't need a lot. Just like that. Yeah, looks good. So again, once again, this is taking much longer than anticipated. I mean, I just don't know. I need to get these guys knocked out because I got another Hellboy after this. Another one. There we go. That looks pretty good. And then the last step, I'll seal these. And then I'll do the Jade. The knives just may be their own work in progress, since I'm doing a lot of this in real time. So when you look at this in different angles of light, you can see all that scrubbing I did. You can see all the little ridges from the brush, and that's what kind of gives it that look of bone. Not only the color, but the texture of the paint. Where's the other one? About done. And when I seal this, I'm not going to seal it with the matte. I'm going to seal this with probably the ammo gloss again, because I don't want to. If I do the matte, if I didn't have pigments on this, I could just leave it as is. But with the pigments on there, they can come off. You know, if you touch them with your bare hands. So if I seal this with the ammo gloss, it'll still have a sheen to it. It won't be glossy, but it'll look kind of like this, and you'll still be able to see all that texture from the. I'm going to do this too. Do that on this too. Blend that in a little bit more. Picks up some of the texture also. All right, so there you go. I'm going to come back once I seal this, and we'll work on the Jade. All right, so in the spray booth, and we're going to base coat these in a Jade green. It's not really Jade green. It's It's called Green Haze, but it's pretty close to a Jade. So we're going to go ahead and base coat these guys in that color. And this is the Plano color paints that I'm always raving about. So I'm going to build it up lightly. So I'm going to be able to do the next step without having to wait overnight for these to dry. That's it for a little while. Some silly putty over the bone handle that we just did. That's it for a little while. So I think you guys get the idea. I'm going to get these base coated, and then when you have that head, let them dry for 30 minutes or so after they're base coated, and we can do the next few steps. So I'll come back after that, or when I'm ready for that. Okay, so I took one of these. I just kind of forced dried with the hairdryer. So this is where we are right now with that green. So the next step is we're going to sponge on some metallics. We'll see if this paint is dry enough to do that. We'll find out real quick if this starts to melt on us. So I'm going to use these Vallejo liquid metals, and I'm going to start out with just gold. Now this is not their old gold. I like their old gold a little bit better, so we're going to do some of that too. But we're gonna do a bunch of stuff. So just I like using a natural sponge to get more random shapes that way. So I'm just gonna use the paint that's in the lid here, pick some of it up, and blot it off. And I'm gonna test the back side of the blade first before we go any further. I'm just gonna sponge it on a little bit. Actually, I need to get a little more paint. So we're gonna do this. We're going to pour a tiny amount out. Well, I guess I could get a little bigger piece of sponge. I can get it down into the jar. Okay. There we go. No, that's not gonna work. That's gonna be disastrous. I'm just gonna pour a little bit. You need very little. And then we're gonna get our sponge in your hand if you can. Get a little paint on it. And get most of it off. Like so. And you're just gonna start real lightly putting it on. Then you can do this randomly. You can kind of do it in veins. I can't remember if I did like veins last time. No, that's right. That's some gold over here. Get most of it off. Hey, let's go. I'm going to pause, guys. Okay, back. Took a break to go see my son, watch my son play soccer. So, actually, I'm going to do this because my fingers are too big. So I'm going to use a little tweezers. So I'm having a hard time grabbing this. And I took the silly putty off for now. So, sponge it like that, dab it off, and kind of like that. Real light. That sponge is too big. Oops. Where'd it go? Sometimes it's hard to get like the perfect size sponge and everything. Here we go. Got a little one. Got the magnet. It's funny. It's like, why did I get stuck down? Okay, kind of like this. Let's do another one. I'm not liking the shape of my sponge. Try that. There we go. I'm not liking that either one. It's like I'm not getting enough like pointy parts of the sponge. It's like too flat. I don't know how to describe it, but let's try that. All right, so I'm going to do this on time lapse because again, this is just sponge it on there, just lightly. You can make patterns if you want. Just like that. So we'll do time lapse. Okay, so we did the gold. Now we're going to do is we're going to get the we're going to do some of the silver, liquid silver. Same thing. We're just going to kind of spun some of this on. I was trying to use different shaped sponges and stuff to get a different patterns. We'll see. Too much paint. See, that's just too. I'm not getting little spikies. The spots of paint are too big. I have a problem. Sorry. I'm gonna do some kind of veins here. Now that bottom color, that bottom green, you're not probably see a whole lot of it in the end. You'll see a little bit of it coming through. That's pretty good there. Try to turn the sponge, get different shapes in there. All right, so about that, my card filled up, so I had to get a new one. So now I'm using the liquid gold, or the liquid metal copper. Again, just doing the same thing, just kind of sponging through. I got a little sponge here, and this actually is working really well. So I'm just going through and sponging. You can see that most of this green is kind of getting covered up. That's okay. That's just the base. So it's looking pretty good there. Give this another shake. Magnet keeps pulling down my tweezers. This one I'm a little heavy on the silver. It's no big deal. It's kind of happened that way. Oops. Magnet is causing me problems because it's wanting to pull the tweezers down. Again, just kind of make this look random. Okay. Yeah, we'll do this one. Magnet again. There's some. Use another sponge to kind of soak up some of the excess paint. You've got too much going on. I don't get my slow card error message because I got my other card in here now. The fast card is being downloaded, so this one is telling me it's got a slow card. So who knows what this will turn out. I think a little more silver, a little more gold on some of these. It says I'm still recording. You can use something without a magnet for the backside. So I'm going to just went back to the gold. Just creating layers. Layers, layers, layers. I'm always saying layers. This is starting to look pretty much what we want for this phase. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So I'll go back to go on these a little bit. That's looking pretty good. That looks pretty good. So I think we're ready for the ready for the next phase. Again, just trying to get rid of anything that's like an obvious, brush mark or sponge mark. That's looking pretty good right there. It's kind of what we want. Let's check that one again, just to make sure. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to move to my favorite, watercolors. Again, this is like, I don't do anything that's like a one-step process. This has got to be 20 steps. Why do in one step when you can do it in 20, right? Okay, that's looking pretty good. Yeah. Some of this will really be like a Jade. I mean, I call it Jade. Maybe Jade. I don't think Jade looks like this in real life, but it's cool. Anyway, the end result looks good. Keep going back. It's like, looks good. Okay, so we'll put that away. Break out my awesome watercolors. I'm going to do a couple different colors. We're going to do like a green. These are going to be real light. I'm going to do some white actually too. What is this? That's black. I want black. White. And this kind of turquoisey green. So this is going to bring us back to kind of like a jade look. Put a little bit of that down. I'm going to get a sponge. Again, I'm going to get a little bit. And we're going to go in here and do this. Try to kind of bury these metallics we did a little bit, so they don't look like they're on the surface. It's more like they're underneath the surface. And this is also a point where you can, you know, do a little kind of veining if you want to try to do some veining. And I haven't watered these down. This is just straight, but it's very, very light. This is not like the leather where I'm using quite a lot of paint. So this color that I'm using is called Viridian. If you're interested in the color name. It's a nice blue-green, or dark blue-green. We'll do a little white, and then we'll see how bright the white. There we go. And then I'm not going to speak too soon, but that should be it for this process. And then we'll go in and we'll do a clear green on top of this, which will tie it all together. And the very last step will be the U-Pole automotive clear coat. Again, something that this has been all day. We're finishing up those holsters and doing these. I mean, it's just really, it's the last time I'm taking on 3 of something at one time. It's just too much. I've got guys wanting to send me 4 and 5 pieces for one contract. I can't do that anymore. I've said yes to a few guys for multiples, but I'm gonna have to basically say no because it's too much. to get done the way, at least the way I do it. I'm slow. I mean, some guys can crank these out in 40 hours. I don't know how they do it. I can't do it. I mean, Hellboy takes me, 100 hours. Now, if I did these 3 individually, would it take longer? Yes. Doing them together does help kind of speed up some of the processes, but it's just slow. Okay, it's looking pretty good. So we're still seeing that initial color I laid down. It's looking good. Okay, and now we're going to add a little bit of white. I'm just going to keep the same sponge. And when it mixes with this Viridian, it gives us a really nice, pretty color. You can see it right there. Let's all use the same sponge. It gives us a nice tone. So good. I don't know if you call this Jade. I call it Jade because it reminds me of Jade. All right, so that's pretty much it for the sponging. Okay, let's do the other 2. You can see I'm making a little bit of a pattern here, nothing real obvious. Oh, I got way too much paint there. It's kind of hard to see this when you start this process, like the end, like in your head, the end results. It's like most things. Whenever I'm doing a kit, until I see the very end, I'm like, I'm not sure I'm gonna like it. It happens on every build I ever do. Doesn't matter what it is. That's pretty good there. Okay. And the last one. These are going to be really long work in progress videos, guys. Sorry. Did a lot of stuff in real time, not a whole lot of time lapse. So you can still see, even though I've done a lot of sponging, we're still seeing all the way back to that first color we did. That initial green haze, whatever, from Plamo Colors. Now I got a little too much bright white up here, so I'm going to go back to the Viridian real quick. Just knock it down a little bit. There we go. Just a hair. It's like too pure white. I don't want that. Okay. So there we go. So that's it for all the sponging. Looks good. What I'm going to do real quick, I'm just going to get a little water and a Q-tip. I'm just going to clean off the watercolors from the surrounding areas, just like this. I don't care about the liquid metals because those aren't real thick. Just going to clean off the watercolors from these areas. So I want to try to get that, when I do the metal, when I hand paint the metal, I want to try to get that as smooth as possible. And that watercolor's got a lot of texture. That's, that's why we did it on the belts. Because the next two steps will be a clear green and then the automotive clear, and then I have to let these sit till tomorrow to do the hand painting of the metal trim. Alright, so back on the knives. So, I don't know, I recorded video of doing the clear coat and everything on these, and the file, that particular file is corrupt, so I may not be able to save it, so I'm just going to explain what I did. So after I did all the sponging and everything, I did a very light coat of Mr. Color GX Clear Green, and that just kind of tied everything together. After that, I used my U-Pole Automotive Acrylic Urethane Clear Coat. I did one mist coat. I let that dry for about 10 minutes. I followed that by a wet coat. I let that dry for 10 minutes. And I've repeated that 2 more times. So a mist coat and then 3 wet coats, letting each coat dry about between 10 minutes. It's called, or letting it flash off. Basically, you're letting the solvents escape from the clear coat. If you just keep laying on top of each other, it can cause problems like fish eyes, curing problems and all that stuff. So here we are. This is actually dried for 2 days. It was my wife's birthday last night, so I didn't work on anything. So here it is. Here they are when they're done. And all that's left right now is to paint all the trim parts and then line it. So we're going to work on that. And again, it's the same process. I use most of the same colors that I like. Start off with some, let's see. But again, just hand painting. The same stuff I've been doing before. All the same paints I like. The Vallejos, liquid metal, and the metallic colors. So this first color is the Vallejo metal color exhaustive manifold. And we're going to paint just as I'm not versed in knife tech, terminology, but we're going to paint, let me get these down a little bit lower. Let's get this situated a little bit better. So I'm just going to paint this part of the, I'm going to call it the handle, I'm not sure what it's called. And I'll just time lapse that. so that takes care of that color and that area of the scabbards, sheaths, whatever you want to call these things. Next, we're going to do some of my liquid old gold, I think. Clean up the brush a little bit here. That you, Mom? Is that Mom? Hello? Oh. I know, I kept calling her name and no one's answering, so I didn't know who walked in the door. Hey. Unless you have something for me to do, I'm going to be up here tonight. Unless you need something, you need me to do something, I'm going to be up here tonight. Okay. They supposedly did their homework, but I haven't checked their folders. Okay, so what I'm going to do next, I was recording the whole time, is I'm actually going to do a little bit of copper here. We're going to do it on this area here. It's no big deal if I get some of the paint on this area. I just don't want to get it on the area that I previously painted, so I'm going to be too careful around here, around this edge. Only when it gets to the area that I just painted. And we'll just put this on time lapse. Okay, this is for the copper. We're going to let that dry for a little bit, and we're going to hit it with the liquid gold next. I'll go from there. This is where you can get in trouble with this kit, because there's so much detail, you can just keep going and going and going and going. Use this one. Use the regular gold, because the old gold is kind of warm. Let's see what that looks like. It may look good against the... Yeah, I'm just a sucker for this color. I really, really like it. So we're going to start with this guy. That was the first one we did. tricky part is when you get to get into that next color, you don't want to get anything on it. Pretty good there. Again, let's put this on time lapse. Okay, so I'm just going to time lapse one of those because that process takes a while. So that's what that's going to look like. And I think once this dries, I may go back and pick out 2 more details back with the copper, something in the butt and something right here on the tip. So I'm going to just do that, and I'll come back when this is all done. Okay, after going through and doing all my touch-ups and everything, this is what we got right here. So I'm going to let this dry, and then the last step will get the lining like the similar to like the gun holsters and stuff did. So then all these details will pop out even more. So went through and did, you know, like a 2-tone kind of thing over everything and did that. So that's where we are in that. So I think what I'm going to work on now are the Fists of Doom. That's kind of like the last thing on the torso that needs to be done. I did the eyes the other day. I'm not going to bring it over because this workbench is a mess, but the eyes have been done. Hair's been dry brushed. We're going to do the Fist of Doom, and then like the hands with the gloves. So I'm going to start doing that here in a second. All right, so the Fist of Doom. Basically, I just got to, I'll show you what the eyes look like. So, got, yep, I don't know if you can see in the camera, but now they got eyes. And pretty simple. Kind of what I typically do. I base coated the eyes with, I think it was medium yellow. It was... Yeah, medium yellow was the base coat for the eyes. And then I used my decal watercolor trick and then glossed, and then I did a black eyeliner and then I glossed over those. So they all got that treatment. So now what I gotta do is I gotta mask off the fist right here and then the rest of the torso. And then we can start doing the Fist of Doom. So the Fist of Doom, the way I'm gonna do it like I did last time, I'll kind of metallic fade in the middle. The thing that takes the longest on this thing is masking the center part once that's been painted. I got to do it 3 times, so which I won't be able to do until tomorrow anyway, because I got to let the paint dry. If I can get these masks and that metal, get these primed and all these little like ribs painted, that'll be a good start.
So I'm going to go ahead and use Tamiya tape on these guys. It's been sealed like 500 times and it's had plenty of time to dry. So shouldn't have any issue with tape peeling. Let's put it on and should be good to go. So I'm going to start off with a thin tape. This is Tamiya tape. Everyone asks me, what tape are you using? I always say Tamiya tape, but apparently no one listens to me. So and these guys are dusty, but don't worry about that. That's just because they're in my work area and they're full of static electricity too, because it's been so dry out. It's dry in the air, so they just attract dust right now, unfortunately. But when they're not dusty, they're really good looking. So masking, same way I do it every other time. If you haven't seen any of my videos, start a piece here and work it, keeping it loose. You don't want to like try to pull it taut. Just work it, let it kind of do its thing. And I'll use a Q-tip here to kind of get into place. So I'm going to let it overlap. I'm going to try to let it overlap the fist just a little bit. So there's actually a little like recess in there between the arm and the fist of doom. So this is hard. Again, this is so hard to do, and I'm trying to do it on camera. I'm not filming. I can work faster. I don't have to worry about am I in frame or not. So I need to get a head mount. I'm just going to push this down in there, and then I'll trim off any excess with a blade. I'm just keeping the tape loose so I can get it to go where I want it to go. If I try to pull it tight, I'd just be fighting it. So I'm just using this toothpick to push it where it needs to go. I'm not going to worry too much about being in the frame. I'm just going to do this so I can get it done correctly. My microphone clipped on. Like this is the hardest part of the masking is this one piece. Once this piece on, the rest is easy. Hey guys, I need you to turn that off, please, because if my video picks it up, YouTube is going to kick it off. Because it's copyrighted. My kids are listening to the most annoying adults play Minecraft. It's so annoying. I really think they have the most annoying voices ever. So I'm not on camera, sorry. And they have it on the background. If YouTube picks it up, they're going to kick this video off. Okay, so I'm just going to go in here and trim this tape right to the arm. Like that. And the rest of it looks pretty good. Yeah. So there's one spot right here where I pulled it tight and it's not working, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cut the tape here without scratching my paint. I have to put another little piece right here because when I pulled it tight, it didn't allow it. Excuse me, it did not allow it to conform to that shape. So I just need a little extra piece of tape. Just like that. It's a hard angle to get into. There we go. Let's cut that excess off. Okay. So that's the hard part. And then what I'll do is I'll just follow up with another slightly wider piece of tape, and then I'll use saran wrap on the rest of the torso. Like that. All right. And then the rest will be saran wrap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these guys masked and primed, and then I'll start spraying paint, and I'll show you that. Okay, so these all have been masked, and these have been primed. I also primed the other part of the Fist of Doom, but tonight we're going to paint the inside of these, like this little, I'm only painting this part of the fist tonight. So first step is a base coat of gloss black. All right, next color up in the airbrush is Mr. Color GX Red Gold.
I'm going to do that 2 more times, and then we'll do the next color. All right, next color up in the gun is Mr. Color GX Clear Orange. And what we're going to do, we're going to keep the center of this pretty much gold. I'm going to start with this orange right about here and work it on the way out to the edges, and then we'll do one more color after this. So I'll go ahead and do that live for a little bit. I'll show you what it looks like. So you can see I'm concentrating all that color from here out. I will fit a little bit more to the center. I just want to kind of get my border defined. I'm going to do that on this side now.
And I'm just going to fade it just a hair more to the center. That's it for the orange. So we had 2 more times and we'll have 1 more color after this. Alright, last color in the cup for this process is Mr. Color GX number 102, Deep Clear Red. And for that, we're just going to concentrate on the outside perimeter and fade it into this area a little bit. So what you can't tell, but I don't know if you can tell, but what I'm doing, I'm concentrating on just the lower parts. I don't care the top looks like. I'm just getting these little, I don't know, these little hash marks is what I'm working on.
Okay, so that's what we're going to end up with. Actually, I may do one more color. I have a clear gold that I may just kind of hit in the middle. So this will have to dry overnight. There's a lot of paint on there, and then tomorrow I'll go in and mask all these little lower areas and then paint the stones part of the thing. So I'm going to do this 2 more times, and then I may do the clear gold. I'll wait and see. Okay, so I'm going to try this clear gold. I haven't used this before. What I don't want to do is kill like the warmth I have here. If I'm going to try this a little bit. If I don't like it, I can always go back over with the red gold. Just think I can kind of maybe work these colors together a little bit better. Maybe I just kind of hit the, yeah, just a little bit. That's it. That just kind of helps blend the colors a little bit more. So I'm going to do that on the other 2, and then this process will be done. It's got to wait for it to dry till tomorrow before I can mask it off and then do the stone part. So stay tuned for what I work on next. All right, continuing on. So I finished up the knives finally. Did the lining and stuff, and there they are. So it looks like now. So those are done. Looks pretty good. Sorry. And then this is where we are right now in the Fist of Doom. So that's where we left off last night, and I'm going to go in and mask in between all these little spots, and I'll show you how to do that. It is extremely tedious and very time consuming, and I expect it'll take me several hours to do them. So the knives and getting the fist done tonight is kind of what my goal was. We'll see how long this takes me. So basically what I need to do is I need to cut strips of tape that are about that width, and I'm going to just get let's see, the thinnest tape to me it makes is this stuff right here. I'm not sure what the millimeter is. I don't want to say it's like 3 millimeter. I'm not sure what it is. So I'm going to put some out on my workbench here. And I'm going to get a new blade too, brand new X-Acto blade. Actually, no, that was not very new. And I'm going to try to cut strips that are exactly the width that I need. And I'm going to say this again, I say it in all my videos. If you're getting X-Acto blades, get the X-Acto X-Life blades. You'll know the X-Life because they got a blue tint to them. Don't get their normal blades. These will last you a lot longer. Get them on Amazon, 100 blades in a box for like, I can't remember what I paid. I bought 2 boxes like 7 years ago. I finally just went through the first box, but I go through quite a few blades. And I'm going to get a straight edge here. And I'm just going to kind of guesstimate at first what I need to make the width of this tape. So I'm going to guess right about there. I'm just going to cut a piece. Try to get close. Now, a lot of guys are like, why don't you just use silly putty in this? Well, the reason isn't this because I'm anal about it. If I were to do silly putty, it would fill it up all the way to the top of this edge right here. It'd fill it up to here, but I don't want that. I want the color of the brick of the fist to go all the way down to this edge right here. So I have to mask just the lower part, and that's it. If I did silly putty, it would come all the way up here, and then the sides of this brick would be the metallics, and I don't want that. I want to go all the way down to the bottom. So that's just how I am. So let's see. This looks like this may be a little wide. Let's maybe work it down the middle part here. If that's the case, that'll be really awesome. Yeah, that looks about right. That's a hair big. So make it just a little bit smaller. And that should take care of the center. I'm not going to do this all on camera because it would be incredibly long. So make this just a hair smaller. Try to cut it, all the same width. Problem is my cutting mat is so messed up that there like isn't a flat spot on it from all the glue and stuff on it. I go through cutting mats pretty quick too because I get them so dirty and messed up. That's more enough to go around the center of that fist.
And that's actually just about perfect for the middle. So that's good. That'll work. So we're going to wrap this around. Once I get the Fist of Doom done, the torsos will be complete, except for the hands, which I've got to fix a finger on one of them, and then paint the gloves. I thought about trying to paint the gloves tonight, but I don't think I'll be able to get it done. I think the Fist of Doom will just about put me till about 11 o'clock or midnight tonight, as far as how late I'll be up. We'll see. I don't know. Unless I can come up with a quicker way to mask these. Silly Putty would be quicker, but then again, it's not going to mask the way I want. So I could just mash it down in there, but it would not give me the effect I want. So I'm going to use one of these hobby Q-tips to push it down. In this case, you can pull a taut. There, when I was masking them around the arm, I didn't want to pull a taut. In this case, I can. So just going around a circle. Yeah, that's perfect. And I got a little bit extra that came up on the side here where I don't want, so I'm going to just go under my new blade and cut it off. And I did do a very light mist coat of some clear on this metallics just to seal it. I didn't really want it glossy, I just wanted to seal it. Okay, so there's the center part. Now the really fun part are all these little hash marks. Now I think this is the same width, but they look a little narrower in the middle. Let me bring this down because I know this is really, really wide since it's an action cam. Eventually I'll get everything like, my videos will be like really awesome. We'll get there someday. I've been getting a lot of really nice compliments lately on them, which it means a lot because it's a lot, and I do like hardly any editing. I basically shoot and I upload it to iMovie and I throw it up there. A lot of times I don't even watch what I've uploaded just because it takes me to upload one video without any editing. It can take me a couple hours, and if I'm working till 11 o'clock at night or midnight, and I want to get that video up, it's 2 o'clock in the morning before I get to bed, and I'm up at 6. So I have some videos I haven't uploaded yet. I'm really upset because I did a whole how-to on the knife and how to do the Jade look. And the last video segment I recorded is corrupt. It shows up on my computer. It shows the file size, but it's corrupt. So unfortunately, hopefully, I may have lost that portion of the how-to. I got through the main part, like how to get the base color and how to get the kind of the main Jade look. But as far as the final steps, I lost that, I think. Which really sucks because this is the last, one of the last steps is what really gives the Jade look. Okay, so that's a perfect width right there. So now I have to go through and do this to all these. Just like that. But masking it this way will get the color of the Fist of Doom on all of the stone texture without. So these are tricky because these aren't exactly the same. These aren't perfectly symmetrical, if that makes sense. So if it's a little too fat, I just can go in here and trim off the excess like this. I've got a favorite pair of tweezers. Where are they? They're probably buried in all my tools over here. They're my absolute favorite. I should just get rid of all the other ones and just get a few pairs of these because I really like them if I can find them over here. Here they are. They're really pointy. and they got a really good grip. These are decals and everything, so just take it off like that. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna mask just like that all the way around this sucker on all 3 of these. So I'll put on time lapse. It's probably gonna be a very long time lapse. So if you want to watch, you can. If I come up with a suggestion, I'll stop it and do a live video. But let's run time lapse so I can watch my movie while I do this. So here we go. Okay, so there's one done. It probably took me, let's see, about 45 minutes maybe to an hour to do that. So I'll do the other 3, and then when we get back, we'll spray some paint. Okay, so I didn't record the painting of the other part of the Fist of Dooms because by the time I got done masking last night, it was like 10 o'clock and I hadn't sprayed any paint. And I was up till 12:30 painting, so I was just like, I just need to get it done because so I didn't record that, but I'll tell you what I did. So after I did all the metallics and masked them, I base coated everything with Stynal Res Ebony Flesh. I then put on a coat of very lightly Plamo color burgundy, which is more like a purple actually. Just lightly misted over the brown so I could still see through it. And then once I was done with, sorry, back up, my bad. Once I did the Stynal Res Ebony Brown, what I did is I went in with black and I did a lot of shadowing, shading and stuff like that. Then I went in lightly with the Plamo color burgundy and just lightly misted over so I could still see the brown and the black shining through. Once I was done with that, I went it over very lightly, not very lightly, actually pretty heavily with the Mr. Color GX Deep Clear Red to get the color. Once that was done, I went back in with some clear black and just bumped up some of the shadows, and then I just did a real light mist coat of the Krylon matte finish. Just took the masking tape off of all the masking, and it looks phenomenal. So you can see it goes from the gold to orange to red. It's all done with candy colors. So I'm doing right now, I'm just going, I'm hand painting all these little bolts. Once I'm done with that, this part of Hellboy is done. The Fist of Doom is done, the upper torso is done, the horns are done, the eyes are done. I did the eyes, I'm not sure if I showed those to you, but they look really good. So yeah, I'm just hand painting these little bolts right now. So I'm not going to record that because, again, this is hand painting stuff. And then these, again, my Vallejo metal colors. I'm using the burnt iron, one of my favorite colors. It's a nice and bright metallic, but it's not too shimmery, like too flashy. So I think it works well against this. I thought about doing copper, but I didn't think that really makes sense on this. So I'm doing this kind of burnt iron. Once this is done, I'll come back and show you the finished product. I'm going to call this work in progress done, because then the next thing will be the boots for the next work in progress, and I still have to do the gloves and the guns, so I still have a lot of work on these guys. Yeah, so I'll come back when this is done. I'll show you the end results. Okay, so the Fist of Doom is done, at least on this one, but this is what they'll look like. So we have actually, I went ahead and did 2 other colors on here. I did the burnt iron on the little guys. I did some copper right there, and then the color on the big guys is gunmetal. So just gives it a little more variation in the tones. But so the Fist of Doom is done. Looks really good. So I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna do the other 2. Call this work in progress done, and then call it a night. And try to go to bed before 1 o'clock tonight. So. Stay tuned for the next work in progress. I'll decide what I'm going to do next. I think it's going to be the boots and the hands. And then after that, it's the base. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.